The message arrived at the worst possible time. Ambassador Jiwon Park was halfway through her morning coffee when the priority alert flashed across her screen. The diplomatic vessel Spirit of Soul had been drifting peacefully through neutral space, carrying routine reports back to Earth. Now, everything had changed. She read the transmission 3 times, hoping she had misunderstood. The Galactic Concordat High Council demanded humanity's immediate presence at Judgment Station. The words were polite, but the meaning was clear. This was not an invitation. It was a summons. "Captain Minho to the bridge, please," Jiwon said into her communicator. Her voice stayed calm, but her hands trembled slightly as she set down her cup. Captain Minho Choi arrived within minutes, his uniform crisp despite the early hour. He had served in Earth's military before joining the diplomatic corps, and it showed in the way he carried himself. Straight back, steady eyes, always ready. "What do we have?" he asked. Jiwon turned her screen toward him. "Read it yourself." Minho's expression darkened as he scanned the message. "Unauthorized military expansion. Violation of treaty terms. They want us at Judgment Station in 72 hours. He looked up. "This is bad." "It gets worse," Jiwon said. She pulled up another file. "I've been monitoring Concordat communications. They think we've been building weapons in secret. They believe we're preparing for war." "Are we?" Minho asked quietly. Jiwon met his eyes. "You know I can't answer that." They both knew the truth, of course. Everyone in Earth's government knew. For the past 15 years, since humanity had joined the Concordat as a probationary member, they had been building something. Something the other species would not approve of. Something that might change everything. Hana Kim, the ship's chief engineer, entered the bridge next. She was young, barely 30, but brilliant. The aliens often underestimated her because of her age and size. That was their mistake. "I heard the alert," Hana said. "What's going on?" Minho explained the situation while Jiwon opened a secure channel to Earth Command. The wait felt endless. Minutes ticked by. Finally, a familiar face appeared on screen. Admiral Sung-Ho Yoon looked tired. He always looked tired these days. The weight of Earth's secrets sat heavy on his shoulders. "Ambassador Park," he said. "I assume you've received the Concordat's message?" "Yes, sir. They want us at Judgment Station. They're accusing us of breaking the treaty." "I know. We've been expecting this." Sung-Ho leaned forward. "Here's what's going to happen. You will not take the Spirit of Soul to that station. Instead, we're sending something else." Jiwon felt her stomach drop. "Sir, they specifically requested a standard diplomatic shuttle. If we send anything else, we're sending the Indomitable," Sung-Ho interrupted. The bridge went silent. Even Hana, who rarely showed surprise, stared at the screen with wide eyes. "The Indomitable?" Jiwon repeated. "Sir, that ship has never been revealed to the galaxy. If we show them what we've built, then they'll finally understand what humanity really is," Sung-Ho said firmly. "We've hidden long enough. The Concordat thinks we're weak. They think we're children playing at politics. It's time they learned the truth." "This could start a war," Minho warned. "Or prevent one," Sung-Ho countered. "The Indomitable is already on its way to your location. It will arrive in 6 hours. You and your senior staff will transfer to it. Captain Hyunwoo Kang is in command. He has his orders." "What orders?" Jiwon asked. Sung-Ho's expression hardened. "To show the galaxy that humanity doesn't build shuttles. We build ships that can survive anything the universe throws at them. And if the Concordat doesn't like it, they can file a formal complaint." The transmission ended. Jiwon sat down heavily. 15 years. 15 years of careful diplomacy, of building relationships, of proving humanity could be trusted. All of it might end in the next 72 hours. "What do we do?" Hana asked quietly. "We follow orders," Minho said. "We always follow orders." 6 hours later, the Indomitable arrived. From a distance, it looked like any other diplomatic vessel. Its transponder broadcast friendly signals. Its hull appeared smooth and unremarkable. But the crew of the Spirit of Soul knew better. They had all been briefed on the project, sworn to secrecy. The ship that floated before them was humanity's greatest achievement and darkest secret. Jiwon. Minho and Hana transferred to the Indomitable along with Security Chief Daehyun Lee. Daehyun was a quiet man, decorated veteran of the colony wars. He spoke rarely but moved like a predator. When he did speak, people listened. The interior of the Indomitable was nothing like a diplomatic vessel. The corridors were wider, reinforced. Every surface looked functional, purposeful. There were no decorations, no artwork. This was a machine built for a specific purpose. Captain Hyunwoo Kang met them in the main hangar. He was younger than Ji-won expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and an easy confidence. His crew stood behind him, all watching the newcomers with interest. "Ambassador Park," Hyunwoo said, extending his hand. "Welcome aboard. I understand you have concerns about our mission." "Captain Kang, with respect, I have more than concerns. I have objections. Taking this ship to Judgment Station is a provocation. The Concordat will see it as a threat." "Good," Hyunwoo said simply. "Let them see it as a threat. Let them understand that humanity is not defenseless." "That's not how diplomacy works," Ji-won argued. "No, but it's how survival works." Hyunwoo gestured for them to follow him. "Come, let me show you what you'll be riding in." He led them through the ship, explaining as they walked. The Indomitable was 4.2 kilometers long. Its hull was made of collapsed matter plating, stronger than anything the Concordat had ever developed. Its reactors could power a small city. Its weapons— "We don't have weapons," Hyunwoo said, anticipating the question. "Officially, according to the treaty, we have defensive systems only. Point defense grids, shield generators, electronic countermeasures. Nothing offensive." "Then how?" Minho began. "How do we fight?" Hyunwoo smiled. "That's the beauty of it. We don't need to fight. This ship was built to survive, not to attack. Every system is designed to keep us alive in the worst possible conditions. The Concordat limited our weapons, so we made ourselves invincible instead." They reached the bridge. It was larger than any bridge Ji-won had seen, with multiple stations arranged in a semicircle. The crew working there looked professional, focused. They moved with the efficiency of people who had trained together for years. Hyunwoo introduced them. First Officer Taejin Oh, Navigation Officer Yoon-ji Shin, Communications Officer Sora Bae, Weapons Officer Jinwoo Nam. Jinwoo looked up at the mention of his name. There was something haunted in his eyes, something that spoke of past battles and hard choices. Ji-won recognized that look. She had seen it in veteran soldiers before. "Weapons Officer?" she asked. "I thought you said this ship has no weapons." "It doesn't," Jinwoo replied. "But someone has to manage the defensive systems. And if circumstances change, someone needs to be ready." The Indomitable began its journey to Judgment Station immediately. They would arrive in 68 hours, with 4 hours to spare before the deadline. As they traveled through space, Ji-won tried to prepare herself mentally. She imagined every possible scenario, every way the meeting could go wrong. She composed speeches in her head, arguments to defend humanity's actions. Meanwhile, word of their approach had already reached Concordat space. At the first checkpoint, a scanning officer named Velis ran routine scans on the approaching vessel. The transponder identified it as a simple diplomatic ship, but something was wrong. The mass readings were impossible. The power signature was too large. The ship's profile didn't match any known human design. Velis ran the scans again, thinking her equipment was malfunctioning. But the readings stayed the same. "That's no shuttle," she whispered to her supervisor. "That's a dreadnought. A warship." The supervisor checked the scans himself. His face went pale. "Send an alert to Judgment Station immediately. Tell them the humans aren't coming in a shuttle. They're coming in a ship big enough to destroy a fleet." The message traveled faster than light, jumping through communication relays across Concordat space. Within an hour, every major species knew. The humans had defied the summons. Instead of sending a small vessel to answer charges, they had sent a warship. Some called it arrogance. Others called it stupidity. A few called it bravery. On the Indomitable, Captain Hyunwoo Kang stood on the bridge and watched the stars stream past. He knew what was waiting for them. The Concordat would have ships ready, weapons armed. They would see humanity's vessel as a threat, possibly as an act of war. "Captain," Taejin said quietly, "we're receiving multiple transmissions. The Concordat fleet is mobilizing. They're positioning ships around Judgment Station." "How many ships?" Hyunwoo asked. 30 so far. More arriving every hour." Ji-won stepped up beside the captain. "They're going to try to stop us." "Let them try," Hyunwoo said. His voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. "This ship was built for exactly this situation. We're going to that station. We're going to answer their charges, and they're going to learn that humanity doesn't scare easily." The Indomitable flew onward through the darkness, carrying humanity's fate in its hull. Behind them, Earth waited nervously for news. Ahead of them, an alien armada prepared for confrontation. The galaxy was about to discover what humans had built in secret, and nothing would. The first plasma torpedo hit the Indomitable's shields and exploded in a brilliant flash of blue-white energy. The shield held, rippling like water but not breaking. Direct hit, forward shields down to 92%, reported Taejin from his station. His voice was steady, professional. Redistribute power from secondary systems, Captain Hyunwoo ordered calmly. Yoonji, evasive pattern Delta 7. Yoonji's hands flew across her navigation console. The massive ship rotated with surprising grace, presenting its stronger port shields to the next wave of incoming fire. She had memorized the ship's capabilities down to the last decimal. Every thruster, every angle, every possible maneuver. More weapons fire struck the ship. Railgun rounds hammered against the hull plating, each impact making the deck tremble. But the collapsed matter armor held firm, designed to withstand pressures that would crush ordinary materials. 23 seconds elapsed, Sora announced. 59 minutes, 37 seconds remaining. In the Concordat fleet, young pilot Kelros watched in amazement as the human ship dodged and weaved through weapons fire. Ships that large weren't supposed to move like that. It was like watching a moon dance. Target their engines, his squadron commander ordered. If we can't break through their shields, we'll cripple their mobility. Kelros locked his weapons and fired along with his squadron mates. A dozen energy beams converged on the Indomitable's rear section. The shields flared bright enough to light up the surrounding space. But when the light faded, the ship was still moving, still evading, still surviving. On Judgment Station, the High Council watched through multiple camera feeds. Some representatives seemed satisfied, even pleased. Others looked disturbed. Their defensive capabilities exceed our projections, Counselor Nixara observed. Her insectoid mind processed combat data at incredible speeds. At this rate, they could survive much longer than 1 hour. Perhaps we should increase the intensity, suggested Counselor Brexis. The aggressive reptilian leaned forward. Test their true limits. The terms were clear, High Arbiter Quellen reminded him. 12 ships, standard weapons, 1 hour. We will not change the parameters mid-test. But Fleet Commander Threxus had other ideas. Watching from his flagship, he saw the human vessel surviving attacks that should have disabled it. His pride stung. His reputation demanded results. All ships intensify fire, he commanded. I want to know this vessel's breaking point. Maximum weapons output. His officers exchanged uncertain glances. Sir, the Council specified. I don't care what they specified, Threxus snapped. That ship is a threat to Concordat security. I will not allow it to mock us. The weapons fire doubled in intensity. On the Indomitable, alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. Shield strength dropping fast, Taejin reported. Forward shields down to 70%. They've increased their attack pattern. They're cheating, Jinwoo muttered from his weapons station. His hands curled into fists, wanting desperately to return fire. Doesn't matter, Hyunwoo said. Adapt and survive. Hana, reroute power from life support to shields. We can breathe recycled air for a while. In engineering, Hana Kim worked with practiced efficiency. Her team responded to every hit, every system failure, every emergency. Power conduits were rerouted. Backup systems came online. When one shield generator overheated, another took its place. Captain, I'm giving you everything I can, Hana said over the comm, but we're taking more damage than expected. They're not following their own rules. Then we'll have to be better than we planned, Hyunwoo replied. 15 minutes into the test, the Indomitable took a direct hit to its port side. The shields had momentarily failed during a power transfer, leaving a section of hull exposed. 3 railgun rounds struck the collapsed matter plating. The ship shuddered. Alarms screamed. Reports flooded in from damage control teams. Hull breach on deck 14. Daehyun's voice came through. Ceiling now. Casualty reports coming in. Ji-won gripped a console to steady herself. Through the view screen, she could see the Concordat ships pressing their advantage, focusing fire on the damaged section. Can we hold? She asked Hyunwoo quietly. We have to, he replied. Then louder. Yoonji, roll the ship. Present our undamaged side. Sora, jam their targeting systems. Make them work for every hit. Sora's fingers danced across her station. Electronic warfare had been developed by humanity over centuries of conflict. The Concordat had theories about jamming and countermeasures. Humanity had practical experience. The Concordate ship suddenly found their targeting solutions degrading. Their computers struggled to maintain locks. Their weapons fire became less accurate. "What are they doing?" Kelros's commander demanded as his shots went wide. "Electronic countermeasures," Kelros replied, studying his sensors. "Very sophisticated ones. They're not just blocking our scanners, they're feeding us false data." Another squadron of Concordate destroyers adjusted their approach, trying to attack from multiple angles simultaneously. But Yunji had anticipated this. She had studied every Concordate tactical manual she could find. She knew their patterns. The Indomitable rotated, presenting its strongest shields to each attack vector just as weapons fire arrived. It was like a deadly dance, and Yunji was leading. 25 minutes passed. Then 30. The ship continued to take hits, continued to accumulate damage. But it survived. In a private channel, High Arbiter Quellen contacted Threxus directly. "Commander, you were ordered to follow specific test parameters. Why have you exceeded them?" "Because that ship is more dangerous than you realize," Threxus replied. "We must know its limits. We must understand what we're dealing with." "What we're dealing with is a species that builds better than we do," Quellen said coldly. "And you're proving their point by requiring excessive force to test them." On the Indomitable, the crew worked in determined silence. Every person had a job. Every job was critical. When a shield generator failed, engineers replaced it. When targeting sensors were damaged, technicians rerouted through backups. When hull plating cracked, repair teams sealed the breach. Yunwu watched his crew perform with quiet pride. They had trained for years for this moment. Every simulation, every drill, every endless practice session had prepared them. "Captain, we have a problem," Teijin said at the 37-minute mark. "The starboard shield generator is overheating. If we don't shut it down, it could explode." "And if we do shut it down?" Hyunwoo asked. "We lose shield coverage on the entire right side of the ship." Hyunwoo considered this. The Concordate ships would immediately target that weakness. But an exploding generator could damage critical systems throughout the ship. "Shut it down," he decided. "Yunji, keep our port side facing the enemy. We'll fight with half shields if we have to." The decision saved the ship. 2 minutes later, a massive plasma torpedo struck exactly where the overheated generator had been. Without shields, the hit would have been catastrophic. But Yunji had already rotated the ship, and the torpedo struck reinforced armor instead. The armor cracked but held. Damage control teams rushed to seal internal breaches. 3 crew members were injured by flying debris. Medical teams responded immediately. 45 minutes had passed. Ambassador Jiwon watched the countdown and did mental calculations. 15 minutes left. The ship was damaged but functional. They might actually survive this. Then the situation changed. "Captain," Sora said urgently, "I'm detecting a new ship entering the combat zone. It's massive. Battlecruiser class." On the view screen, a new vessel appeared. It was twice the size of the destroyers that had been attacking them. Its weapon systems dwarfed anything they had faced so far. Threxus's voice came over the communication channel. "This test has gone on long enough. Time to end it." "That's not part of the agreement," Jiwon protested. "You can't just—" "Your ship has proven resilient," Threxus interrupted. "But now face a real threat. If you truly built this vessel for defense, defend against this." The battle cruiser's main guns charged with visible energy. Each weapon alone carried more firepower than all 12 destroyers combined. "High Arbiter," Quellen's voice cut through the tension. "Commander Threxus, you will stand down immediately. This was not authorized." "With respect, Arbiter, I believe this test must be comprehensive," Threxus replied. "We cannot allow uncertainty about human capabilities." Hyunwoo looked at his crew. They were exhausted, battered, running on reserves. The ship had taken damage across multiple systems, and now they faced something that could potentially destroy them with a single salvo. "Captain, I'm reading weapons charge at 90%, Jinwoo reported. "If that thing fires at full power—" "I know," Hyunwoo said quietly. He opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands brace for impact." "This is going to hurt," the battlecruiser fired. 5 main guns discharged simultaneously, sending beams of concentrated energy toward the Indomitable. The beams were so powerful they distorted space itself around them. Yunji did the impossible. At the last microsecond, she rotated the ship 23 degrees, changing the angle of impact just enough that the beam struck at an angle rather than straight on. The shields collapsed completely. Energy bled through into the hull. Systems throughout the ship overloaded and failed. Lights flickered. Gravity generators stuttered. The smell of burning electronics filled the air, but the ship survived. Hull breaches on decks 14 and 23. The silence on the Indomitable's bridge lasted only a moment. Then Taijin broke it with a single word. Medical teams to all damaged sections. Full damage assessment in 5 minutes. The crew moved with practiced efficiency despite their exhaustion. They had survived, but the cost was visible everywhere. Scorch marks on consoles, flickering lights, the acrid smell of overheated systems, and somewhere deep in the ship people were hurt. Captain Hyunwoo stood slowly, testing his balance. The ship's gravity generators had stuttered during the final attack, and everyone had been thrown around. His ribs ached, probably bruised. Status report, he ordered quietly. Shields are completely offline. Hana's voice came through from engineering. She sounded tired but steady. Hull breaches on 3 decks. We have them sealed, but the repairs are temporary. Main power is at 40%. Life support is stable, but running on backup systems. Casualties? Hyunwoo asked, dreading the answer. 17 injured, most minor. 3 serious cases being treated in medical bay. No fatalities. Hyunwoo felt tension release from his shoulders. His crew had survived intact. That was what mattered. Ambassador Ji-won approached him carefully. Her diplomatic uniform was torn at the shoulder, and a bruise was forming on her cheek. Captain, the Council is requesting our presence for the final judgment. Tell them we'll attend as soon as our ship is stable, Hyunwoo replied. Our crew comes first. Ji-won nodded approval and moved to the communication station. But before she could send the message, a new transmission came through. It wasn't from the Council. It was from the Concordat fleet. Young pilot Kelros appeared on screen, speaking quickly before his superiors could stop him. Human vessel, I am transmitting emergency repair protocols from our maintenance database. Your ship performed honorably. You deserve to be restored. Kelros, close that channel immediately, his commander barked in the background. But other Concordat ships began sending similar transmissions, engineering specifications, medical supplies, even words of respect from veteran crews who had never thought they would admire a human vessel. Sora looked at Captain Hyunwoo in surprise. Sir, we're receiving data from 17 different Concordat ships. They're helping us. Accept all transmissions, Hyunwoo said, and send our thanks. On Judgment Station, the High Council convened an emergency session. The representatives had watched the entire test and opinions were divided sharply. They survived. Counselor Nixara stated simply, by the terms we established, the charges must be dismissed. They barely survived, Counselor Brexis countered. Their ship is crippled. This proves they are vulnerable, not invincible. They survived concentrated fire from 12 destroyers and a battlecruiser, Nixara replied. How many of our vessels could claim the same? They followed every rule while we broke our own agreement, by escalating the test. If anything, they proved humanity has more honor than we do. High Arbiter Quellen listened to the arguments but remained silent, the crystalline being processed information differently than organic species, seeing patterns and connections others missed. What concerned Quellen wasn't the ship's survival. It was what happened next. Before the Council could reach a decision, a priority alert interrupted the session. A distress signal from the outer territories. A colony under attack. New Celis colony is reporting multiple hostile contacts, a station officer reported. Pirates, possibly Karvesh Reavers. Civilian population of 200,000 at risk. Colony shields will fail in 38 minutes. The Council chamber filled with urgent discussion. Counselor after counselor checked the positions of Concordat defense fleets. The nearest ships were hours away. The colony would fall long before help arrived. This is unfortunate timing, someone muttered. Those are people dying, Nixara snapped. 200,000 lives, including children. Counselor Brexis leaned forward. There is one ship close enough to respond. The human vessel. All eyes turned to the image of the damaged Indomitable floating in space near the station. They can barely maintain life support, another counselor objected. Their shields are gone. You can't send a crippled ship to fight pirates. Then we abandon the colony, Brexis said bluntly, because no other option exists. High Arbiter Quellen made a decision. Contact the humans. Present them with the situation. Let them choose. On the Indomitable, Captain Hyunwoo received the transmission. The Arbiter explained the situation clearly, honestly. We have no right to ask this of you, Quellen said. Your ship is damaged. Your crew is exhausted. You have proven your capabilities and earned your right to return home. But there are people dying, and you are the only ones who can reach them in time. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. Taejin's expression was carefully neutral, waiting for the captain's decision. Yoonji was already calculating jump coordinates. Sora had opened communication channels to the colony. Jinwoo's hands rested on his console, ready. How many ships are attacking the colony? Hyunwoo asked. 15 cruiser-class vessels. Karvesh Reavers. They're a mercenary fleet known for taking slaves. Slavers, Jinwoo said quietly. Something dark moved behind his eyes. Old memories from the colony wars when he had fought similar enemies. Hyunwoo activated ship-wide communications. All hands, this is the captain. We've just been informed of a colony under attack. 200,000 civilians, including families and children, will die unless someone helps them. The nearest Concordat fleet is hours away. We can reach them in 47 minutes. He paused, letting his words sink in. Our ship is damaged. Our shields are down. We're running on partial power. By any reasonable assessment, we should return to Earth for repairs. No one would blame us. No one expects us to fight in our condition. Another pause. But those people don't have hours. They have minutes. And we didn't build this ship to be reasonable. We built it to protect those who can't protect themselves. So I'm asking for volunteers. Anyone who wants to help save that colony, stay at your station. Anyone who wants to return to Earth, I'll understand completely. You have 10 seconds to decide. The 10 seconds passed in absolute silence. No one moved. No one left their station. Hyunwoo smiled slightly. Yoonji, set course for New Celis colony. Maximum speed. We have people to save. The Indomitable turned and accelerated, pushing its damaged engines harder than was probably safe. Behind them, the Concordat fleet watched in silence. They're actually going, Kelros whispered to himself. Their ship is falling apart and they're flying toward a fight. His commander nodded slowly. Perhaps we judged humanity too quickly. The journey to New Celis took 47 minutes of maximum acceleration. During that time, Hana and her engineering team worked miracles. They couldn't repair the shields fully, but they got them partially operational. They rerouted power from non-essential systems. They patched hull breaches with whatever materials they could find. Jinwoo prepared his weapons systems. Technically, the ship had no weapons, but point defense systems designed to shoot down incoming torpedoes could be retargeted. Anti-meteorite lasers could focus on larger objects, and there were systems labeled emergency contingencies that no one had ever fully explained. Rules of engagement? Jinwoo asked. Pirates attacking civilians, Hyunwoo replied. No mercy for slavers, but watch for pressed crew. Some of those ships might have captives forced to work. Sora was already monitoring transmissions from the battle zone. The pirates were broadcasting demands for surrender, threats of violence, promises of slavery. The colonists were broadcasting desperate pleas for help. 38 minutes until colony shields fail, Sora reported. We'll arrive with 7 minutes to spare. Not enough time to evacuate, Taejin observed. Then we make sure they don't need to evacuate, Hyunwoo said. The Indomitable dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly above New Celis colony. The planet below was beautiful, a blue-green world with white clouds, and surrounding it was a pirate fleet tearing apart the colony's defenses. The Karvesh Reaver commander, a brutal creature named Hakor, saw the new arrival on his scanners and laughed. One ship? The Concordat sends one damaged ship. Continue the assault. We'll deal with them after we take the colony. That was his first mistake. His second was not running immediately. Hyunwoo's voice was cold as ice. Jinwoo, weapons free. Show them what humanity does to slavers. The Indomitable opened fire. What happened next wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration of controlled violence. Every weapon humanity had secretly developed over 15 years came online. Railguns that supposedly didn't exist fired tungsten rods at incredible speeds. Missile pods deployed hunter-killer drones that moved in coordinated swarms. Point defense lasers carved through pirate hulls with surgical precision. The ship's artificial intelligence, networked with human operators, predicted enemy movements before the pirates made them. When a pirate ship tried to dodge, the AI had already calculated where it would go and placed a missile in that exact location. 3 minutes after arriving, 8 pirate ships were destroyed. The remaining 7 attempted to scatter and run. Track every ship, Hyunwoo ordered. I want targeting solutions on all of them. These slavers attacked civilians. They don't get to just leave. But then Sora intercepted a transmission. "Captain, wait. One of those ships is broadcasting on an encrypted channel. They're saying they have captives aboard, pressed into service." Judgment Station appeared in the view screen like a massive ring of metal circling a dying star. The structure was ancient, built by species that had mastered space travel when humanity was still living in caves. It was designed to impress, to intimidate, to remind everyone of the Concordate's power. Captain Hyunwoo Kang was not impressed. 37 warships in defensive formation, reported Yoonji Shin from the navigation station. Her fingers danced across her console, mapping every vessel. Another 15 holding position behind the station. "They've got us completely surrounded." "Of course they do," Hyunwoo said calmly. "They're afraid." Ambassador Jiwon Park stood near the captain's chair, her hands clasped behind her back to hide their shaking. She had spent 15 years building relationships with these aliens. Now those relationships might end in violence. "Captain, perhaps we should open communications," she suggested. "Explain our intentions before they assume the worst?" Hyunwoo smiled slightly. "Too late for that, Ambassador. They assumed the worst the moment we left Earth space." A communication request flashed on the screen. Sora Bay, the communications officer, looked to the captain for approval. Hyunwoo nodded. The face that appeared was reptilian, with scales that shifted colors and eyes that burned with cold intelligence. This was Fleet Commander Threxus, a veteran of a dozen campaigns. His reputation for ruthlessness was known across the galaxy. "Human vessel, you will power down all systems immediately and prepare for inspection," Threxus commanded. His voice was harsh, used to giving orders that were never questioned. Hyunwoo remained seated, perfectly relaxed. "Negative, Commander. We are here under diplomatic protocols. The Concordate has no authority to board us without permission." Threxus's scales shifted to a deeper red, a sign of anger in his species. "You dare refuse? Your vessel has been flagged as a potential threat. We have the authority to disable and board any ship that threatens Concordate security." "Then you're welcome to try," Hyunwoo said pleasantly. The bridge crew tensed. Jinwoo Nam's hands hovered over his weapons console, even though there was nothing labeled as weapons on his screen. "Just defensive systems, just protection. Are you threatening us?" Threxus demanded. "No, Commander. I'm simply stating a fact. This ship was built to withstand threats. If you attempt to board us by force, you will fail. Not because we want conflict, but because we are very, very good at defending ourselves." Threxus's eyes narrowed. He made a gesture and suddenly 30 targeting locks appeared on the Indomitable. Every ship in the Concordate fleet had armed weapons and locked onto the human vessel. "Last chance, human. Power down or be powered down." Jiwon held her breath. This was it. The moment everything would fall apart or somehow impossibly hold together. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. Taijino, his first officer, gave a slight nod. Yoonji checked her navigation plots one more time. Sora kept communication channels open. Jinwoo waited, patient as death. The captain turned back to the view screen. "Jinwoo, drop the disguise." "Yes, sir." Jinwoo's fingers moved across his console. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship began to change. The holographic camouflage that had made the Indomitable look like a simple diplomatic vessel shut down. The true form of the ship became visible to every scanner, every camera, every startled alien eye watching from the Concordate fleet. The ship was enormous. 4.2 kilometers of purpose-built warship, bristling with what looked like weapons ports but were technically defensive systems. The hull gleamed with collapsed matter plating, a technology the Concordate had theorized about but never successfully created. Energy readings spiked as the ship's true power signature became apparent. It was beautiful in the way a predator is beautiful. Efficient, deadly, perfect. On his command ship, Threxus stared at the readings his science officer was frantically reporting. "This is impossible. A ship this size with this power output, it would take decades to build. We would have detected construction. Perhaps you weren't looking carefully enough," his second officer suggested quietly. Across the Concordate fleet, reactions varied. Some captains immediately increased their weapons charge, preparing for battle. Others hesitated, recognizing that their targeting solutions had just become far more complicated. A few, like young pilot Kelros, simply stared in awe at the architecture before them. "I've never seen anything like it," Kelros whispered to himself. "It's like they designed it to survive the end of the universe." On Judgment Station, the High Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from 47 species watched the human ship through various feeds and sensors. The chamber filled with alarmed chatter. Counselor Nixara, an insectoid being whose species had been spacefaring for 10,000 years, studied the data carefully. Her compound eyes processed information faster than most species could think. Impressive, she clicked. The humans have been busy. High Arbiter Quellen, a crystalline entity that resonated with authority, called for silence. Ambassador Jiwan Park of Earth, you will explain this deception immediately. Jiwan stepped forward in the Indomitable's communication room, her image being broadcast to the entire council. She had prepared for this moment, rehearsed what she would say. But now, looking at the assembled representatives, she decided to speak from the heart instead. There was no deception, she said firmly. We built a ship. That is not illegal. We registered it with the proper authorities. We followed every regulation regarding diplomatic vessels. That is no diplomatic vessel, Councillor Brexis snarled. He was a member of an aggressive species that respected only strength. That is a warship designed for battle. It is a vessel designed to survive, Jiwan corrected. There is a difference. You asked us to come answer charges. We came. You didn't specify what kind of ship we should arrive in, so we brought our best. Your best is terrifying, another counselor muttered. Good, Jiwan said, surprising herself with her boldness. Perhaps you should have been terrified from the beginning. Perhaps if you had truly understood humanity, you would have known we would never be content to hide behind others. We protect ourselves, we prepare for the worst, and we build ships that can survive anything. Back on the Indomitable, Captain Hyunwoo received an urgent message from Earth Command. Admiral Sung-ho's face appeared on his private screen. Captain, the situation is escalating. The Concordate fleet is considering opening fire. Are you prepared? Always, Hyunwoo replied. But I don't think they'll shoot. They're afraid of what this ship can do. Fear will keep them cautious, and if it doesn't, then they'll learn an expensive lesson. Threxus was having the same conversation with his superiors. We could destroy them, he argued. 37 ships against one, no matter how advanced, the outcome is certain. Is it? His superior asked. That ship's shield generators output more power than a space station. Its hull is made of materials we don't fully understand. And we have no idea what weapons it carries. It carries no weapons, Threxus insisted. Our scans show only defensive systems. Scans that failed to detect the ship's true size until they revealed themselves, his superior reminded him. What else might the scans be missing? On Judgment Station, High Arbiter Quellen made a decision. We will not fire upon the human vessel. Not yet, but we must test their claims. If this ship is truly defensive as they say, they will prove it. A new communication opened. Quellen's crystalline face appeared on screens throughout the Indomitable. Humans, we have heard your explanations, but words mean nothing. We must see the truth with our own eyes. Therefore, we propose a test. Hyunwoo exchanged glances with Jiwan. What kind of test? A military exercise, Quellen explained. Your vessel against a squadron of our ships in simulated combat. If your ship is truly built for defense, prove it. Survive for 1 hour against our fleet without firing a single shot. And if we do, Jiwan asked, then we will acknowledge your ship is lawful and dismiss all charges. And if we fire back? Hyunwoo asked quietly. Quellen's tone grew cold. Then you prove you built a warship, not a diplomatic vessel. We will impound your ship and terminate humanity's membership in the Concordate. Your species will be isolated, cut off from galactic society. Jiwan felt her heart sink. It was a trap, obviously. They would throw everything at the Indomitable, trying to force a response. If the humans fought back, they would be condemned. If they didn't, they might be destroyed. But Hyunwoo smiled. We accept your terms, Captain. Taejin objected. This is suicide. They'll tear us apart. No, Hyunwoo said calmly. They'll try to tear us apart. There's a difference. This ship wasn't built for warfare. It was built for survival. Let's show them what that means. The Concordate fleet repositioned 12 destroyers breaking formation to face the Indomitable in open space. These were not small ships. Each carried enough firepower to level a city. Combined, they could crack a moon. The rules were established. 1 hour. The Indomitable could not fire any weapons. It could only defend itself and try to survive. The countdown began. 60 minutes. All hands, this is the captain, Hyunwoo announced over the ship-wide intercom. We're about to take a beating. But we knew this day would come. We built this ship for exactly this scenario. Trust your training. Trust each other. Trust the ship. We will survive. In engineering, Hanakim checked power distribution one last time. The Indomitable returned to Judgment Station 3 days later, fully repaired. The Concordat had provided resources, technical support, and even engineers from species that had previously been hostile. The galaxy had seen what the human ship could do, and opinions had changed. The crew noticed the difference immediately. The Concordat fleet that had surrounded them with weapons locked now arranged itself in formation, a gesture of respect. Young pilot Kelros even performed a flyby salute with his squadron, their ships, creating patterns in space that spelled honor in the old Concordat military code. Times have changed, Taijin observed from his station. They saw us bleed, Captain Hyunwoo replied. And they saw us save people instead of taking revenge. That matters to them. Ambassador Jiwon prepared for the council meeting with careful attention to detail. Her uniform was perfect, her posture confident, but inside she felt uncertainty. The council had dismissed the charges, yes. But what came next? What did the Concordat really want? The council chamber was different this time. Instead of being designed to make her feel small and isolated, Jiwon was invited to stand on an elevated platform where everyone could see her clearly. A position of respect, not submission. High Arbiter Quellen's crystalline form reflected light across the chamber as he spoke. Ambassador Jiwon Park, Captain Hyunwoo Kang, and representatives of humanity. This council convened to judge you. We believed you had violated our trust, built weapons in secret, and prepared for war against the Concordat. The chamber was silent, waiting. We were wrong, Quellen continued. Not about your ship, which is indeed the most advanced vessel we have ever encountered, but about your intentions. You built a shield, not a sword. You built protection, not aggression. And when we asked you to prove it, you did so at great cost to yourselves. The charges against humanity are dismissed with apology. Your ship, the UHS Indomitable, is recognized as a legitimate diplomatic and defensive vessel. Humanity's probationary status in the Concordat is ended. You are now full members with all rights and responsibilities. Relief washed through Jiwon, but she sensed there was more. Quellen's tone suggested something deeper was coming. However, we did not bring you back here simply to apologize, the Arbiter said. We brought you here because we need your help. The chamber's lights dimmed. A holographic display activated showing a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. At the very edge, something was marked in red. Something vast. For the past 10 years, our deep space monitoring stations have detected an approaching threat, Quellen explained. Something that destroyed an entire civilization before entering our galaxy. We call them the Veil. The hologram zoomed in, showing massive objects moving through space. Each was the size of a moon, dark and irregular. They moved in formation, like a fleet, but organic, alive. They consume everything, Counselor Nixara added, her insectoid voice carrying through the chamber. Planets, stations, ships, entire star systems. They arrived from beyond our galaxy 6 years ago. We've been tracking their approach ever since. They're 6 months away from the first inhabited Concordat systems, another counselor said grimly. The hologram showed battle simulations, Concordat fleets engaging the Veil. Every simulation ended the same way. Total defeat. The Concordat ships were simply outmatched. We've thrown every tactical solution at the problem, Nixara continued. Every weapon, every strategy. Our best predictions give us a 15% chance of survival. That means 85% of Concordat space will be consumed. That's trillions of lives, Jiwon whispered. Yes, Quellen confirmed. We have begun evacuation procedures. We're preparing fallback positions. We're accepting that we will lose most of our territory and population, because we don't know how to stop them. Captain Hyunwoo stood beside Jiwon now, studying the holographic display. His military mind was already analyzing the data, looking for weaknesses, opportunities. And you think humanity can help because we built one advanced ship? Not just one ship, said a new voice. The hologram shifted, showing Earth's orbital space. Hidden construction facilities became visible in the display, ships under construction, dozens of them. Some were similar to the Indomitable, others were different designs, specialized for different roles. "Our intelligence services are very good, Captain," Quellen said. "We know the Indomitable was just your first vessel. We know you have been preparing for something, building in secret, developing technologies we don't fully understand." Admiral Sung Ho Yoon's face appeared on the communication screen. He had been listening from Earth. "Ambassador Captain, we need to brief you on Project Shield Wall." Over the next hour, Sung Ho explained what humanity had really been building. The Indomitable was the prototype, the proof of concept. But behind it came an entire fleet. The UHS Relentless, a carrier-class vessel designed to deploy 500 fighter craft in coordinated swarms. The UHS Defiant, an artillery platform with weapons that pushed the boundaries of physics. The UHS Soul's Hammer, named ironically for humanity's first diplomatic vessel, now the most heavily armed ship in the fleet, and dozens more under construction. Destroyers, cruisers, support vessels, each built with one purpose: survive and protect. "We spent 15 years preparing for a war that might never come," Sung Ho admitted. "We looked at the galaxy and saw species that had been spacefaring for thousands of years. We were the newcomers, the young ones. We needed to be ready." "Ready for what?" Nixara asked. "Ready for anything," Sung Ho replied. "Because that's what humanity does. We prepare for the worst and hope for the best." Counselor Brexis, the aggressive reptilian who had been so hostile during the trial, leaned forward. "You speak of preparation, but do you have the will to use these ships? Fighting the Veil won't be like defending a colony from pirates. This will be a war of extinction. Millions will die." Hyunwoo answered before Sung Ho could. "With respect, Counselor, humanity has been at war with itself for thousands of years. We know the cost of violence. We know what it means to fight and die. That's exactly why we're so good at it." "You would fight for us?" Quellen asked. "For species you barely know? For worlds you've never visited?" Jiwan spoke up, her voice carrying across the chamber. "We wouldn't fight for you. We'd fight beside you. There's a difference. When the Veil arrives, they won't distinguish between concorded species and humanity. They'll see all of us as targets, so we face them together, or we fall apart." The Council. Members exchange glances, communicating in ways specific to their species. Finally, Quellen spoke again. "Then we must ask formally, will humanity join the defense against the Veil? Will you commit your ships and your people to this fight?" "I need to consult with Earth Command," Jiwan said. "This is a decision that affects our entire species. Of course, we await your response." The council session ended. Jiwan and Hyunwoo returned to the Indomitable to find the crew already discussing the situation. Word had spread quickly. In the mess hall, crew members debated in small groups. Yoonji argued that humanity had an obligation to help. Jinwoo reminded everyone that their families on Earth would be at risk if the Veil continued unchecked. Sora pointed out that their ship was damaged and their crew exhausted. Security Chief Dae-hyun listened to all sides, then spoke quietly. "We built this ship to protect people. 200,000 colonists are alive right now because we chose to help them. How is this different? It's just a bigger scale." In the captain's quarters, Hyunwoo met with his senior staff and Ambassador Jiwon. They had a decision to make that would affect not just their crew, but potentially all of humanity. "Earth Command is leaving this decision to us," Admiral Sung-ho had said in his last transmission. "You're the ones who've been out here, who've seen what we're dealing with. The Indomitable is your ship, your crew. You decide if you want to lead this fight." "It's not just our decision," Jiwon pointed out. "Every person on this ship has a vote in this." Hyunwoo nodded. "Agreed. We'll hold a vote. But first, I want to hear from each of you, starting with you, Taejin." The first officer spoke carefully. "We're one ship. Even with the fleet Earth is building, we're talking about dozens of vessels against an enemy that destroyed entire civilizations. The logical choice is to refuse, conserve our resources, Protect Earth directly. But, Hyunwoo prompted, but logic didn't save those colonists. Action did. And if we run now, eventually the veil will reach Earth. Better to face them here, with allies, than alone later. One by one, the senior staff gave their opinions. Yoonji was ready to fight. Jinwoo wanted revenge against something that killed billions. Sora worried about casualties but acknowledged the necessity. Hana was already planning ship modifications for extended combat. The crew will vote the same way we do, Daehyun predicted. They signed up to serve on a warship even if we called it a diplomatic vessel. They knew what might be required. The ship-wide vote was held the next morning. Every crew member, from the captain to the newest maintenance technician, had an equal voice. The result was unanimous. 547 votes in favor. 0 against. 3 abstentions from crew members in medical recovery who couldn't participate. Captain Hyunwoo recorded a message to send back to the Concordate Council. But, before he transmitted it, he wanted to address his crew one final time. They gathered in the main hangar,